I'm going to be making this as another one of my one-shot what-ifs. But anyway, for this timeline to work, we would have to make a very small change at the end of the Buu saga. The change happens after Goku says, maybe you'll come back someday as a better person, I hope. I'd like that. Perhaps we'll have a little one-on-one. King Yama hears his wish as per normal and decides to grant it. However, this time around he decides not to grant it right away and wants to do it later. Maybe he keeps Kid Buu's soul in a jar or something on his desk, so he doesn't have to send it to the other world/heaven or to hell. I don't know how he'd keep his soul around, it just sounded like a funny idea to me, seeing Kid Buu's soul just bouncing around angrily in a jar on King Yama's desk. Anyway, Pan was born at age 779, so sometime before/around that is when King Yama would finally decide to have Kid Buu be reincarnated. So Kid Buu is then reincarnated as Pan instead of as Oob. It's hard to say, but Oob is probably still a person, just without the soul of Kid Buu this time, so we'd never see him. Now from here, I'm going to briefly go over the changes that would happen in Dragon Ball Super because of Pan being the reincarnation of Buu. I normally don't create what-ifs about Dragon Ball GT, so this video will not cover Dragon Ball GT. As mentioned earlier, this is just being made to be a one-off what-if. Eventually, I might make a series about GT Pan being the reincarnation of Buu if people are interested in it, especially since her being the reincarnation of Buu would make many more changes in the GT timeline. Anyway, I'm not going to go into too much detail about Pan's appearances in Dragon Ball Super, since even as the reincarnation of Buu, it won't make a lot of changes in the timeline. The first scene with Pan in it wouldn't directly show her. During Battle of Gods, they would still have Videl participate in the Super Saiyan God ritual since she is pregnant with Pan at the time. Nothing major really changes here, but there might be some brief visual hints to Pan being the reincarnation of Buu. Like in the aura that appears around Videl, there could be some brief flashes of pink. Or her aura could be a mix of pink and yellow during the Super Saiyan God ritual. Anyway, after the Battle of Gods movie, Goku would still be off the Earth and training with Beerus when Pan is born. So, he wouldn't realize right away that Pan is the reincarnation of Buu. Eventually, though, Goku would realize that Kid Buu was reincarnated as his granddaughter, as in the manga he was able to sense who Oob was even when Oob was hiding his ki. Some of the other interactions we had seen with Pan as a baby in Dragon Ball Super would still happen. Mr. Satan would still probably want Pan to be his successor. Gohan, while dressed as the Great Saiyaman, and Mr. Satan would still spar while holding her to entertain her, with Chi-Chi still scolding them because she wants Pan to be ladylike, though Videl would still say she'd support Pan becoming a martial artist if that's what she wants to do, as she was a martial artist before too. Most likely there'd still be the time when Piccolo babysits Pan for Gohan and Videl while they're out shopping as well. The moments of Pan flying as a baby and calling Goku Grandpa as the first time we hear her speak would still happen. I had a brief idea for something that could change in the Golden Frieza saga, but it isn't anything major. I was inspired for this idea by the original Broly movie. In the anime version of the Resurrection F movie, it's shown a scene of Pan crying before the Earth was destroyed. With her having the potential of Buu this time, she might end up unknowingly making a barrier to protect both herself and Videl from the destruction of Earth. This would make it like how DBZ Broly saved himself and Paragus from the destruction of planet Vegeta. After the planet is destroyed, she and Videl would be floating in a sphere in space. Though Whis and the others likely notice them, so they would end up getting the same sphere together. This might be when Goku does reveal that Pan is the reincarnation of Kid Buu, as he would explain to everyone why he thought Kid Buu was reincarnated, basically saying King Yama must have heard his wish. Regardless, the rest of the Golden Frieza saga would go the same from there, with Whis rewinding time and Goku killing Golden Frieza before the Earth could be destroyed. Nothing major changes in the Universe 6 saga either, so she would just be there with Videl and Mr. Satan as they were spectating the tournament. Nothing would change in the Goku Black saga either. The future Trunks might learn about her being the reincarnation of Buu after he and her get into a tug of war over his sword. As a gag moment, she might have won this tug of war in this timeline, but she still lets the sword go when Gohan tells her to. This is when he would tell Trunks about her being the reincarnation of Buu, since he was wondering how she was that strong. And as for the Universal Survival Saga, surprise, nothing changes in it either. After the tournament was over, Pan would still have flown around and bumped into Vegeta, which caused Goku to laugh, so Vegeta challenged him to a sparring match. Pan would eventually have a minor role in the Moro saga, as the Grand Supreme Kai would teleport to her so she could give her energy to Goku. But since Pan is closer to the heroes and would have known Buu from being at her grandfather's, Hercule's, house, the Grand Supreme Kai might give her more of an explanation than he did to Oob before he leaves. Then in the superhero movie, there might be more major changes. By the time this movie begins, she might still not know how to fly, even though she has the potential of Buu. However, a major change would happen late in the movie when she is fighting the soldiers and ends up going against Carmine and Magenta. Since she is stronger and faster, she might end up knocking them out faster. So, instead of Magenta being able to slip away and wake up Cell Max, he is knocked out by Pan, too. This means that both the Gammas survive, so they and Dr. Hedo go on to work at Capsule Corporation alongside Bulma. Since Cell Max was never awoken, Gohan never tapped into his beast form. Also, Dr. Hedo probably destroyed Cell Max before they left the Red Ribbon headquarters. Anyway, 10 years have now passed after the defeat of Majin Buu, which is 5 years after the birth of Pan. She spent most of her time with Goku, so she trained a lot. It's possible Goku trained her more seriously this time around with her being Buu's reincarnation instead. Everyone would meet up before the 28th World Martial Arts Tournament as per usual, with Vegeta asking Goku if it's true that he's entering, to which he replies yes. Even though he wouldn't have the motive of seeing Oob there, I believe he would still go. He would not only get to test out Pan's strength, but potentially fight against Vegeta again. Originally, I wasn't sure who would replace Oob in this tournament, as Pan was already in the tournament regardless, but I came up with an idea. With Goku training Pan more seriously and her being the reincarnation of Buu, Vegeta might have taken the time to train his daughter Bola. Even if it wasn't Vegeta's idea, Bola and Pan are basically the same age, and with them being friends she could have been motivated by seeing how strong Pan is. Anyway, the point is, I think Bola would be the replacement for Oob in this timeline. Another potential thing to mention is that would Pan and Bola be a Super Saiyan by this time after going through more intense training? In my opinion, it's possible, as Goten was first seen as a Super Saiyan at the age of 7, but in the game Buu's Fury it mentioned he went Super Saiyan first when he was 3. At this time, with Pan and Bola being 5 and 4 respectively, and with them probably having more potential than the older Saiyans, they could have achieved Super Saiyan by now. It doesn't matter either way, though, since the heroes likely restrict themselves from transforming in this tournament. This time around, Goku wouldn't need to set up them choosing numbers, as I think he'd believe Pan could make it through her earlier matches up until she faces him. Goku would still promise if any of them reached the finals, they would let Mr. Satan win. The 28th World Martial Arts Tournament had 114 entrants, but only 12 finalists, 13 including Mr. Satan. The fighters this time would be Pan, Wild Tiger, Goku, Bola, Nareg, Captain Chicken, Goten, Buu, Trunks, Otokosuki, Vegeta, Nock, and Mr. Satan. I used a random number generator to make the matches for the first round, and it ended up like this. Match 1 is between Nock and Vegeta, Match 2 is between Buu and Goten, Match 3 is between Pan and Bola, Match 4 is between Captain Chicken and Goku, Match 5 is between Otokosuki and Wild Tiger, and lastly Match 6 is between Trunks and Nareg. The whole thing between Nock and Vegeta would go the same, with him trying to insult Vegeta, Vegeta knocking him out, and proceeding to tell the officials that Nock forfeited. This still amazed Bola of his strength and embarrassed Bulma for not waiting for the actual match to start. For the second match, we don't see them fight in the manga, but Goten said something along the lines of asking why he was put up against Buu. So, I took that as meaning he can't defeat Buu, however he would still try his hardest against him, just to be defeated in the end. So, onto the third match between Pan and Bola. While it's hard to estimate how strong they would be, Bola would most likely be fighting a losing battle with Pan having power that is at least like Kid Buu's power. They'd start this fight off as suppressing each other, though when they go all out, it's basically a losing battle for Bola at this point, though it would last a little while before Pan eventually knocks Bola out of the ring. The fourth match would basically be over in a blink of an eye, as Captain Chicken would not stand a chance against Goku in the slightest. It'd probably be something like Vegeta and Nock's fight. Goku would just hit him once and knock him out of the ring. As Bola was impressed by Vegeta doing this, Pan would probably be impressed at how strong her grandfather is. The fifth match is hard to decide who the winner would be, as we don't really have any feats for either Otokosuki or Wild Tiger. Since Dragon Ball usually tried to do gag type things, and Otokosuki seems like a joke character, I believe he would probably be the winner if this match happened. Finally, we get to the last match of the first round, with it being between Trunks and Nareg. This is obviously going to be another quick fight, as we don't really have any feats for Nareg, that as far as I can tell he is just a regular human. So, basically, they don't stand a chance against Trunks, and it will be over quickly. So now we're in the second round, with the fights being like this. Match 7 is between Vegeta and Buu, Match 8 is between Pan and Goku, and Match 9 is between Otokosuki and Trunks. The Vegeta and Buu match sort of makes me think it would be like a rematch between Majin Vegeta and Majin Buu. Though the main thing here is that this Buu is the one that was the good Buu that split from the Majin Buu that went against Majin Vegeta. But since we don't have an exact statement of how much stronger or weaker they are than what they were in the Buu saga, it could be a tough match, especially with Vegeta restricting himself from going Super Saiyan. Next is going to be the match between Pan and Goku. If we base this off the match between Oob and Goku, the announcer was saying Oob and Goku in his base form were fighting on par, though it is highly likely that Goku was just suppressing himself so he could have a good fight with Oob. So it would be the same with base Goku and Pan being on par since he suppressed himself. Now I could see this going one of two ways, with the first being Goku letting Pan win. The second option would be Goku winning, and I see this as a far more likely option. I think it is more likely because it would be a similar situation to the 21st World Martial Arts Tournament where Master Roshi, while disguised as Jackie Chun, beat Goku and Krillin to teach him the lesson that there would always be someone stronger. So this time around it would be Goku using more of his power to beat Pan and teach her the lesson that there is always someone stronger out there. The last match for the second round would go by fast as well. This is between Otokusuki and Trunks, and Otokusuki is basically a regular human. Trunks would win the match easily. Most likely it would happen by knocking him off the stage in one hit. This gets us into the third round with the matches being like this. Match 10 is between Vegeta and Goku, and there isn't another match in this round as Trunks is the only fighter left over. I could go into a lot of detail for this fight, but I'm going to keep it simple. This fight would likely end up like their fight in Super Hero, with them both fighting equally and beating themselves into exhaustion. Though, this time around, I think Goku would end up being the winner of this fight. Next would be the semi-final match, which is match 11 overall, and it is between Goku and Trunks. Trunks is far behind Goku, so he doesn't have a chance to win, but Goku would suppress himself so they could have a good fight. After that match, we finally get to the final match between Goku and Mr. Satan. It would go much like that scene in Dragon Ball Super where Goku had Mr. Satan punch him, then he faked going flying out of the ring. He would do this to keep his promise of letting Mr. Satan win. So Mr. Satan is then announced the winner of the 28th World Martial Arts Tournament. After the tournament ends, we'd get a similar scene to where Goku decides to train Oob. This time it's Pan instead. He just asked Pan if she wanted to train with him to become as strong as he is, to which she would say yes. As mentioned earlier, Videl and Gohan both have said they'd let her become a martial artist if she wanted to, so they allow this. However, Goku doesn't just fly off with Pan like he did with Oob. This time, the training will just be happening at Goku's house instead of at the lookout. This would also give a chance for Pan to still see her parents while training instead of just not seeing them for the next 5 years. Also, since Goku is at home training, he would also have Goten train with him as well. As for Vegeta, he would still be training Bola, and most likely Trunks when he catches wind of Goku training Goten as well. After all, he can't let his children fall behind in power compared to Kakarot's. As mentioned earlier, I'm not covering GT in this video. I'm also not going to do an epilogue style ending for this video like I have been doing for my What If series, so this is where this timeline ends for now, as Goku and Pan fly off together to train.